There were 6 different charters that changed hands going into the 2019 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series season. The first of those was the number 23 BK Racing charter that was purchased by Front Row Motorsports out of bankruptcy court after BK Racing fell apart midway through 2018. The number 27 Richard Childress Racing charter that was being leased by Starcom Racing in 2018 was fully purchased and now owned by Starcom Racing for their 00 entry. The number 43 Richard Petty Motorsports charter was sold to Rick Ware Racing for their number 51 car, where it was run under the name of Petty Ware Racing. Although there was no assistance from Richard Petty Motorsports, the name was just a business partnership for the charter. The number 51 Rick Ware Racing charter that was being leased by Petty in 2018 was returned to the Pettys for 2019. This was to get around the rules that charters can only be leased for 1 year at a time. But Rick Ware was not done yet, as he purchased the number 72 charter from TriStar Motorsports and would enter 2 full-time charter teams, this one being the number 52 car. And last but not least, the number 78 charter that won the championship just 2 years ago in 2017 was sold after the team shut down to Spire Motorsports, where they would run the number 77. Looking at our list of chartered cars here for 2019, there were a few other things I wanted to touch on here. First off, the number 31 RCR charter was renumbered to the number 8. Daniel Hemrick would drive that car for his rookie season. And Front Row Motorsports also renumbered one of their charters, the number 38, to the number 36 car where Matt Tifft would run his rookie season. We started things off with 6 drivers looking at 4 spots for the Daytona 500. Casey Mears in the number 27 car for Germain Racing. Tyler Reddick looking to make his Cup debut in the number 31 car for Richard Childress Racing. Brennan Gaughan with Beard Motorsports. Joey Gase with MBM Motorsports. Ryan Truex for Tommy Baldwin Racing. And Parker Kligerman looking to make the race for Gaunt Brothers Racing. Reddick had just made the jump from Junior Motorsports, where he won the Xfinity Series championship in his rookie season, over to Richard Childress Racing due to the guarantee of more Cup races. This was one of those. His 2 wins in the 2018 Xfinity Series season came in the first race of the season at Daytona and the season finale at Homestead, winning him his championship. The weekend would get off to a good start for Reddick, as he was one of 2 drivers to lock himself into the race off of speed, qualifying in 16th position. The other driver was Casey Mears, returning to Germain Racing after being dropped following the 2016 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season. This left us with 2 battles in the duels. In duel number 1, it was Parker Kligerman versus Ryan Truex. He would beat him, finishing 12th to Ryan Truex's 14th. And in the second duel, Brennan Gaughan beat Joey Gase, finishing 15th to Joey Gase's 20th. That left us with Ryan Truex and Joey Gase as the 2 DNQs on the race. These would be the only DNQs in the entire 2019 NASCAR Cup Series season. In the 500 itself, Parker Kligerman came home with a 15th place finish. Tyler Reddick just 2 spots behind him in his Cup debut in 17th. Brennan Gaughan came home in 23rd position, and finishing dead last, rounding out the field, was Casey Mears. Things thinned out the following weekend at Atlanta, and the only driver to show up was Parker Kligerman in the 96 car. Kligerman would run pretty solid, coming home in the top 30, finishing in 30th, after starting the race in 34th. He was joined by another driver this weekend, Joey Gase, returning to MBM Motorsports after failing to make the Daytona 500, but he was going to make this one as there were less than 40 entries. Gase would struggle all weekend, qualifying in 36th position and then finishing dead last in 38th. Parker Kligerman, on the other hand, would qualify in 32nd and finish 1 spot better than that in 31st. Just 4 races into the season and we already had no unchartered cars show up. It was just going to be the 30 full-time chartered entries. But there was one thing that did happen this weekend in the chartered number 77 car. Quinn Houff made his Cup Series debut, finishing in 30th. The number 27 car was back the following weekend at Fontana, but it was no longer owned by Germain Racing. It was now being fielded by Premium Motorsports. He would be joined by Joey Gase, once again racing for MBM Motorsports. Sorensen would be the top unchartered car, finishing in 34th position. Joey Gase, after qualifying dead last in 38th, finished 1 spot behind him in 35th. Much like Phoenix a few weeks before, Martinsville had no unchartered cars entered, so we're going to move ahead to Texas. Texas is usually able to get a full field due to having a higher purse than usual, but we only had 39 drivers entered in this one. Reed Sorensen was back in the number 27 car, Timmy Hill was making his season debut for MBM Motorsports in the number 66 car, and Parker Kligerman was back with Gaunt Brothers Racing. Kligerman would break into the top 30 for the 3rd time this season, finishing in 27th spot after qualifying in 33rd. Reed Sorensen finished in 34th position, and after starting dead last, Timmy Hill finished one spot better in 38th. The following weekend at Bristol, it was only Timmy Hill showing up for the Unchartered cars. He qualified and finished in 35th position, running less than half the laps in this one, only 239 of 500. The next weekend at Richmond, it would once again only be the number 66 car, but we had a different driver this time. It was Joey Gase again instead of Timmy Hill. Gase would qualify dead last in 37th position and finish in 33rd, 13 laps off the lead pace. The next weekend brought us to Talladega, and those are usually good for filling the field, which it did for the second time this season. Reed Sorensen was back in the number 27 car, and Brennan Gaughan was back with Beard Motorsports for his second plate race of the season. The number 81 car, though, brings us to a new story. This is the first and only start that XCI Racing ever made in the NASCAR Cup Series, and this is the final of 76 career starts Jeffrey Earnhardt has ever made in the Cup Series. Brennan Gaughan would have a strong race, leading 3 different times for 5 laps, and finished inside of the top 10 in 8th position. Reed Sorensen managed to crack the top 20 in 18th, and Jeffrey Earnhardt finished 21st in his final Cup Series start. He would finish in 3rd position just 2 weeks later in the Xfinity Series race at Charlotte, his 3rd top 10 in 5 starts, before only running 2 more races in 2019 before a fallout between his sponsor IK9 and Joe Gibbs Racing / Toyota. Parker Kligerman was the 4th Unchartered car in this one. He finished down in 27th spot. The next weekend at Dover, and we were back to just one Unchartered entry, this time just Reed Sorensen. He qualified in 37th and finished in 35th, only completing 356 of 400 laps after blowing an engine. But we were back to a full field the following race at Kansas. Sorensen was joined by Tyler Reddick, making his second start of the season, and then for the first time ever, MBM Motorsports entered 2 cars in a race, Joey Gase in the number 46 and Timmy Hill in the 66. Reddick would join Brennan Gaughan as the only other Unchartered car to finish inside of the top 10 this season. Reed Sorensen, Joey Gase, and Timmy Hill all finishing below 35th. Timmy Hill and Joey Gase swept the last row of qualifying in MBM's first 2-car effort. Although this was Tyler Reddick's final start in the Cup Series for Richard Childress Racing, he would go on to dominate in the 2019 Xfinity Series, winning 6 races and putting up 24 top 5s, winning his 2nd consecutive championship. Race 13 at Charlotte, and for the 2nd week in a row, we had a full field. BJ McLeod was in the number 53 car for Rick Ware Racing, its first appearance with that number. Joey Gase was in the 66 car this weekend, and Parker Kligerman joined them in the 96 car. Kligerman had a solid run qualifying in 34th and then moving up to 26th in the race. BJ McLeod and Reed Sorensen both breaking into the top 30. Joey Gase, after qualifying dead last in 40th, finished in 32nd spot. But the momentum of back-to-back full fields didn't last forever because the next race at Pocono only saw Reed Sorensen show up. Sorensen would qualify down in 35th position and then finish 27th, 3 laps off the pace. But it got worse the following race at Michigan, as we once again had no Unchartered cars show up. Race 16 took us road course racing, Reed Sorensen and Parker Kligerman, the 2 Unchartered cars that showed up for this one. Kligerman had a solid qualifying effort, qualifying in 29th position, and finished 1 spot behind that, sticking inside of the top 30. Reed Sorensen moved up from dead last qualifying position to finish in 35th. Sorensen was in the field the next weekend at Chicagoland, but we saw the second appearance for the number 53 car, this time with another new driver, Josh Bilicki. Bilicki would out-qualify Reed Sorensen by 1 position, 36th and 37th, and then beat him in the race by 1 position, 33rd to 34th. This race would be the first win for Alex Bowman after Hendrick Motorsports only had one of its 4 cars win in 2018. We were back plate racing the next weekend, so that means we had a full field. Ross Chastain was in the number 27 car for Premium Motorsports, but this was not his first start for Premium this season. He had ran 16 of 17 races so far in Premium's chartered number 15 car. He had become quite the mainstay at Premium after running 34 of 36 races in 2018. For the second week in a row, the 53 car was in the field, this time with Joey Gase making the switch over from MBM Motorsports. Brennan Gaughan was in the number 62 car, and Parker Kligerman rounded out our Unchartered entries in the 96. Brennan Gaughan would grab his second top 20 of the season, 8 positions ahead of Joey Gase. Ross Chastain just broke into the top 30, 1 spot behind him in the number 96 car was Parker Kligerman. And for the fourth and final time in the 2019 season, we had no Uncharted cars enter at Kentucky. For the fourth time this season, Reed Sorensen was the lone wolf at New Hampshire. He finished in 27th position 7 laps down after qualifying in 33rd. He would be back the following weekend at Pocono, joined by Josh Bilicki in the number 53 car. Sorensen moved up from a dead last qualifying run to finish in 32nd position, 3 spots ahead of Bilicki in the number 53 car. For our second road course running of the season at Watkins Glen, Parker Kligerman was the lone entry in Gaunt Brothers Racing's 96 car. He would have a very solid weekend, converting a 24th place qualifying run into a 26th place race result. Race 23 at Michigan saw a couple of new faces. First off, Quinn Houff making his first appearance in an Unchartered entry for Premium Motorsports, and Spencer Boyd making his Cup debut for Rick Ware Racing. One other thing I wanted to mention here, the number 53 car was being run as a Ford this week. In its previous entries with Josh Bilicki, BJ McLeod, and Joey Gase, it was entered as a Chevrolet. Spencer Boyd would finish dead last in his Cup Series debut after qualifying in 36th. Quinn Houff 1 spot shy of the top 30, finishing in 31st position after starting in 32nd. The next weekend, race 24 at Bristol, and once again we had a historic milestone. This would be the first time Rick Ware Racing would field 4 cars in a NASCAR event, bringing JJ Yeley into the fold in the number 54 car. Josh Bilicki jumped in for Joey Gase, and Quinn Houff was back in the number 27 car. The 53 car would be entered as a Chevy, and the 54 car would be entered as a Ford. Yeley would have a very strong run in the Bristol night race, coming home in 24th position. Quinn Houff just broke into the top 30 after qualifying in 34th. Bilicki qualified and finished 35th after DNFing. The reason for this retirement is labeled as fatigue. Race 25 at Darlington, and we once again saw some new names get added to this list. Front Row Joe for Premium Motorsports in the number 27 car, and Garrett Smithley in the number 54 car for Rick Ware Racing, this time as a Chevrolet. Joey Gase was back in the number 66 car after a 7-week hiatus. Nemechek would put his experience to good use, finishing in 31st position, 3 spots ahead of Joey Gase, who qualified dead last. Garrett Smithley qualified 1 spot better than Joey Gase in 38th. He finished 1 spot behind him in 35th. Race 26 at Indianapolis, and once again we had a full field. Ryan Sieg was in the number 27 car for his first and only start of the season. Josh Bilicki was back in the number 53 car, but this time it was a Ford. JJ Yeley in the 54 car, and Parker Kligerman in the 96 car for Gaunt Brothers Racing. Sieg put up a very impressive run, finishing inside of the top 25 in 24th position for his only Cup race of the season. JJ Yeley, after qualifying dead last in 40th, made his way up to 26th in the race, also in the top 30, Josh Bilicki in 29th. Parker Kligerman dropped from his qualifying position of 32nd to finish in 36th place. Our second trip to Las Vegas, and Joe Nemechek was back in the 27 car for this one. JJ Yeley moved over to the number 53 car, and Joey Gase was in the 66 for MBM Motorsports. Yeley was the top Uncharted car in this one, coming home in 32nd position. Back row Joe Nemechek finishing in 34th position, and Joey Gase in 38th after qualifying dead last in 39th. The next week for the second Richmond race, we had 2 of the cars that were entered the previous week, but with different drivers. Quinn Houff was back in the number 27 car, and Spencer Boyd was making his second start of the season in the number 53, which was once again running as a Chevrolet. Boyd out-qualified Quinn Houff by 1 position, and then finished 1 spot ahead of him in the race, 34th versus Quinn Houff's 35th. In NASCAR's second running of the Charlotte Roval, we once again were able to put together a full field of 40 cars. Nemechek took over the 27 car from Quinn Houff, Josh Bilicki was back in the 53, Timmy Hill's first appearance in a while in the 66 car for MBM Motorsports, and Parker Kligerman in the 96. Kligerman would once again have a great showing on a road course, finishing in 26th position after qualifying dead last in 40th. Timmy Hill breaking into the top 30 after qualifying in 33rd, Joe Nemechek 1 spot behind him in 31st, and Josh Bilicki finishing in 38th position. Our second trip to Dover for race 30 on the season, Joe Nemechek and Garrett Smithley, the 54 this weekend, entered as a Ford. Nemechek would break the top 30 after qualifying down in 36th position. Smithley qualified 1 spot behind him in 37th, but finished in 33rd. Our final plate race of the season, which means we have another full field, Sorensen, Brennan Gaughan, Joey Gase, and Parker Kligerman. Parker Kligerman matching his season best finish of 15th in the Daytona 500 in this one. Reed Sorensen also inside of the top 25 in 22nd. Joey Gase finished down in 36th, but the real star of this one was Brennan Gaughan. Although he came home in 27th position, he flipped while battling for the lead with under 10 laps to go in this race, giving an all-time interview after he hopped out of the car. The momentum carried the next weekend at Kansas. We once again had a full field, but instead of the number 62 Beard Motorsports entry, the Rick Ware Racing number 53 car showed up once again with Josh Bilicki. Kligerman would once again lead the charge for these guys, coming home in 29th spot, 4 positions ahead of Reed Sorensen in 33rd. Josh Bilicki finishing in 36th position, Joey Gase after starting in 39th finishing in 38th. Race 33 at Martinsville saw our final 38 car field of the season. JJ Yeley inside of the number 53 car this weekend, back to being a Ford, joining Reed Sorensen in Premium Motorsports number 27. Yeley would have a strong run, moving up 4 positions from his qualifying position of 32nd to finish in 28th position. Reed Sorensen would drop 2 positions from where he qualified in 31st to finish in 33rd. The teams got the memo about Texas having a large purse because this time, for our second running there this year, we had a full field. Chastain was in the number 27 car for his second race of the season, Yeley back in the 53 car, Timmy Hill in MBM Motorsports is number 66, and of course Parker Kligerman. Kligerman would once again show all these guys up, finishing in 22nd spot, only 4 positions ahead of JJ Yeley, who had a strong run in 26th. Ross Chastain just outside of the top 30 and 31st, and Timmy Hill after qualifying in 40th finishing in 36th. In the penultimate race of the season, Joey Gase took the number 66 back from Timmy Hill, JJ Yeley stayed put in the 53 car, but Joe Nemechek jumped in the number 27 Premium Motorsports entry, and this had some significance. Joe's son, John Hunter Nemechek, was making just his second NASCAR Cup Series start after filling in for Matt Tifft, who had to exit the car due to health issues. This would give us the rare anomaly of a father and a son competing against each other in a professional sporting event. But with all the excitement, Nemechek wasn't able to be the top Unchartered car in this one, splitting the 3 drivers, finishing in 34th position. After qualifying dead last in 39th, Yeley moved up 10 positions to get inside of the top 30, and then Joey Gase finished in 38th position after qualifying there as well. To the final race of the season, Ross Chastain was in the number 27 car for Premium Motorsports, BJ McLeod in the 53 for Rick Ware Racing, Timmy Hill in the number 66 car, and Drew Herring was going to get the nod in the number 96 car, making his NASCAR Cup Series debut. The longtime test, reserve, and simulation driver for Joe Gibbs Racing and Toyota was getting a reward for all his hard work. Most people probably think the biggest battle heading into Homestead this weekend was the Championship 4, the Gibbs trio of Hamlin, Busch, and Truex versus Kevin Harvick. But what if I told you that you were wrong? Entering the season finale, the number 27 Premium Motorsports entry held the top Unchartered position in points by just 7 over the number 96 car of Gaunt Brothers Racing. According to an Athletic article co-written by Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi, there was about a $150,000 financial difference between being the top Unchartered car and the second Unchartered car in owners' points, which is huge money for some of these smaller teams. We're talking about keeping crew guys employed over the winter type of money for some of these organizations. Towards the end of the race, Drew Herring was running in 29th position with only 2 other cars on the same lap as him, 5 laps down. Ross Chastain, on the other hand, in the number 27 car, was in 38th position and was at least a lap behind the cars in front of him, with no real chances at gaining positions. If the race would finish like this, the 2 cars would tie with 155 owner points. However, the number 96 car had the tiebreaker thanks to the 15th place finish by Parker Kligerman in the Daytona 500. Under the current points format, 36th through 40th all received just 1 point, so the number 27 car would have to move up at least 3 positions to 35th in order to gain an extra point. So Premium Motorsports had to get creative to make up these positions. With 30 laps to go, the chartered number 15 car owned by Premium Motorsports being ran by Joe Nemechek was running 32nd position when it pulled behind the wall, reporting a steering issue. Then, with just 18 laps to go, one of the Spire Motorsports entries, the number 77 car driven by Reed Sorensen, a guy who had driven a lot for Premium Motorsports in 2019, pulled behind the wall after getting yelled at multiple times over the radio to park it. At the time, Spire and Premium had an alliance, even sharing shop space for the 2019 season. But that wouldn't be enough, as the number 27 car was still in 36th position, one spot away from the extra point, with time ticking down quickly. Just a few laps later, the 35th place number 52 Rick Ware Racing entry driven by Josh Bilicki pulled into the garage, also reporting brake issues. It should be noted that Rick Ware Racing and Premium Motorsports also had a partnership, with Premium Motorsports helping Rick Ware Racing field cars in multiple races in 2017 and 2018, and Rick Ware would eventually go on to buy Premium Motorsports number 15 charter during the 2020 season. At the checkered flag, the 96 car finished in 29th position, earning 8 points, and the 27 car came home in 35th, earning 2 points, beating the number 96 in owner points 156 to 155. These two guys were split by BJ McLeod, who finished in 32nd position after qualifying at 39th, and Timmy Hill moved up from a dead last starting position of 40th to finish in 33rd. After the race, the radio communications were investigated, and with the evidence, NASCAR penalized 4 different teams 50 points and $50,000. Those included both of Premium Motorsports cars, the number 27, and even their chartered number 15 entry, which would lose a spot in points to the 00 Starcom Racing entry, officially putting it into the bottom 3 charters. This is significant because if your charter finishes in the bottom 3 for 3 consecutive seasons, NASCAR can reclaim the charter and sell it to whoever they please. The chartered number 77 Spire Motorsports entry's 50-point penalty would actually drop it to 37th in owner points, getting passed by the number 96 Gaunt Brothers Racing entry, despite the fact the 96 car only ran 15 of 36 races. Pretty embarrassing, but Rick Ware Racing's chartered number 52 entry, which was already outside of the top 36 in owner points before this race, would stay in 38th position. At the end of it all, the Gaunt Brothers Racing were the top unchartered car in owner points, finishing in 35th position. They were 23 points up on the chartered number 77 entry. In 37th, we found the 27 Premium Motorsports entry, 105 points in 26 attempts. They beat the number 52 charter by 16 points. In 39th position, the number 53 Rick Ware Racing entry, despite only having 15 attempts, was just 12 points behind their chartered number 52 car. That was helped by the penalty, but still pretty funny how close it came. Beard Motorsports was inside of the top 40, 71 points in just 4 attempts, and they were 19 behind the 52 car with 32 less races. Reddick managed 38 points in his 2 attempts in the number 31 Richard Childress Racing entry. That had enough to beat the MBM Motorsports entry, despite the fact they ran 16 races. They only had 35 points. Rick Ware Racing's number 54 car had 26 points through 4 attempts, and then our final 4 cars on this list only having 1 attempt each. Tommy Baldwin Racing's number 71 car DNQ'd in its only attempt, that's why it has 0 points. If you thought this year got a little bit boring in some places, I would look forward to 2020 because we would have 2 uncharted cars attempting the entire season. Thanks so much for watching.